In 2006, I took on a task, a challenge, was to lead a tertiary institution, the Caribbean Maritime Institute, and to develop it into a university. First, I had to do a turnaround. One of the greatest leadership lessons I've learned was a fishing trip I took in the same year. I went to the Black River, which is the largest wetlands in the Caribbean, over 18,000 acres of wetlands. And it was a beautiful night. I had choice of bait. It was a perfect time according to the McDonald's calendar for fishing. But what I quickly learned is that evening I would spend the time feeding the fish rather than catching fish. And while I was on the river, I went there about 10:30 p.m. At 3 a.m. I had nothing in the boat to show but less bait. And it continued until after 5 a.m. I noticed when I looked out in the wetlands, there were a calm. The air was still. I looked around the river as light began to peep out. Hundreds of birds were there fighting and quarreling, squabbling over worms on the riverbank. As I looked out in the wetlands, there was a huge tree as if it was hit by lightning. And on it perched a huge bird, very strange bird that got my attention. As if I zoomed in on that bird and forgot about what was happening around me. In my environs, there was one fish, a tarpon, about 3 feet long, that kept stripping my hook of bait but would not catch the hook. I got frustrated. But when I looked out and saw this bird, everything changes. I noticed the bird, it felt like hours, but it must have been about half an hour. Then the wind current began to pick up. I noticed the bird turned, spread its wings. What a majestic sight. From wingtip to wingtip was over 10 feet. I recognized this was no ordinary Caribbean bird. This was an eagle, as it was migrating. And when it turned, I made the connection and said, whoa, if only that bird could catch this fish that I cannot catch, what an excitement that would be. But when the bird turned and the wind got stronger, the bird flapped its wings about 3 times and took off in midair. I said, wow, what a speed. Then the bird came in the direction of the river, went ahead. I said, wow, down in the water with a deep dive, came up with the fish, dropped the fish in mid-flight and took off. What an experience that was. That was a life-changing experience for me. And what I learned from that, lessons of leadership from an eagle, a bird. The first thing I learned was the eagle operated at a totally different altitude from all the other birds on the riverbank. It took such a high vantage point. It could see what was happening. Many a times in life, we get into squabbles and quarrel because we are operating at the wrong altitude. Check your altitude and it determines your attitude. That was the first lesson. The eagle I recognized was a very complex bird. Very complex bird. It traveled alone at that altitude. And there's a story of this little girl who was in an aircraft with her father. And as the aircraft took off, she said, look, Daddy, little houses, little people, little cars. When you change your altitude, your perspective change. You can now see the forest from the trees versus the trees from the forest. It makes a difference. The second point was not just the eagle's altitude, but the eagle's vision. This bird's an amazing bird. It has the capacity to see, amplified about 100 times the eyesight of a human. The eagle is built with natural sunglasses. It can fly directly into the sun. That's the only bird who can do this. It has a wider field of view. It can see frontways, sideways, and backways at the same time. That is why vision is important. It can spot a rabbit from 2 kilometers in the air and magnify. But the eagle has focus. It looks around and spots the prey that it wanted. And I'm sure while I was struggling to catch that tarpon, the eagle spotted it, but waited. And the eagle's vision would pull that into focus and tune out everything else. We cannot be all over the place. We have to have a steady focus. Focus on our target. The eagle not only pulled that fish in view in a closer way, but the third lesson I learned from that experience was timing. The eagle did not go to where the fish was, but it went in the direction of where the fish was traveling. Many times we want to hit the target, but our timing is off. We have the perfect business idea, but the wrong timing, and it makes a difference. First of all, the eagle waited for the wind current. In life, we need to work smarter, not harder. Many birds were flapping their wings all over. But the eagle could use the wind current to help it to fly. In fact, when you think of the complexity of the eagle's wings, it has over 7,000 feathers, over 350,000 hooks that hold those feathers together. That is significant. But the eagle, a 22-pound eagle, can fly and grab a kangaroo 100 pounds and lift it in the air. That is skill and that is precision. So the eagle's timing was important. The eagle went ahead and timed the fish, the connection. To strike is important. Many times we do business, we try hard, but we fail. The important thing that counts in life is strike. Let's develop our striking skills. And the fourth thing I learned was a diet. The eagle eats only live prey. So what? It's not guaranteed to the next day. But it goes and from its vantage point, make a scout of the territory and the terrain and find the most attractive prey. Zoom in and focus on it and strike. And that is important. While the other birds of prey, such as the vultures, the falcons, they eat dead things. The difference with the eagle and the chickens is that the chickens eat their feces. What was meant to be excreted, when you eat that, you become toxic. So our diet is important. The type of things we listen to, the things we feed on is important. We have to think on the big picture. Let's be a big picture person. Check our diet. It affects the way we live and the way we lead. Very important. The next point is the eagle's nest. The eagle lives the best of life as an eaglet. But it comes a point where the mother eagle turns the eaglet out of the nest. It's time to learn to fly. Champions are not built in homes. Great sailors do not develop their skills while in port. You have to go through rough seas. So it is important. The eagle will build a nest that can weigh up to 3.5 tons. And it puts at the highest point, overlay bones and sticks with rabbit feathers, with rabbit fur and all the like to give the comfort of the eaglet. But it comes a time when the mother steers up the nest. It's time to go. Don't overstay time in your nest. Eagles were built for flight, not for nests. So it's important that it comes a point that we do the transition in leadership. It's time to take on new tasks. It's time to learn to fly, to develop our wings. The fable is told of this sparrow who was wandering and flew into a chicken coop. Then there was a proud rooster saw this little sparrow perch on a stick and said to the sparrow, "What are you doing here?" The sparrow said, "I'm traveling, but I'm tired, so I took a rest. Like how I'm here and I'm not in a hurry, maybe I could teach you how to fly." Rooster said, "What a stupid idea. I have my chickens which I keep inside and I'm here. We don't need to learn how to fly." So the sparrow said to the rooster, "Be careful. You're not safe until you develop your wings." The rooster said, no. The following day, there was a fight between the farmer and the rooster. And people said the rooster fought bravely, but some say the cock of van was delicious. It's about developing our wings. Until we have wings, we cannot take our leadership to the next level. Eagles fight their enemies in the air where they're most comfortable, not on the ground. If we fight on the ground when we're eagles, the enemy will take us down to their comfort zone and beat us with experience. Let's develop our wings and fly.